Hello everyone and welcome to a totally unbiased review of the XV26 Stealth Battlesuits, the newest model release for the Tau Empire. We have got ourselves another kill team. We seem to be pretty flush with those, but I'm pretty happy with it because we got a brand new model for the stealth suits. They were getting a bit long in the tooth, the ones that have been around since I think 2007 or something. So it's really nice to have those updated. New models look really cool, but there has also been a change in the datasheet for this model. So I thought that'd be pretty interesting to talk about. There's a lot of talk about it online. Thought we'd go over it and see what we make of it. So if you haven't seen it, what's changed? Well, the unit size has changed from 3 to 6 to just 5 flat. The unit cost has changed from 80 to 120 to 110, just always 110. You can now take fusion blasters in a 2x5, so slightly higher concentration there. The Shazray no longer has a choice of drones. He can take a marker drone and a gun drone, and that's it. Kind of a weird choice, because if you take a marker drone and a gun drone, the marker drone doesn't do anything, because, as we'll talk about in a moment, the unit already has the marker-like keyword. And you get assault from the gun drone, so it literally serves no function. You can just not put it in your army list, and it will make no difference. You can no longer take the shield drone, so that means the extra wound you cannot get on the Shazray at the end really sucks. It was useful a lot of the time, but that's gone now. The Shazray gained a pulse pistol, so he gets a single strength 5 AP 0 damage one shot in close combat. The main draw of that one is its ability. It grants you the ability to shoot while in engagement range, which means you can observe while in engagement range, which is good for reasons we'll come to in a moment. So the homing beacon, it can only be taken on the Shazwee now rather than on the Shazray, which kind of sucks because if you put all your upgrades on like the last model, it means the unit doesn't really lose effectiveness until you lose the last model. But now you start losing effectiveness on losing the second to last model. So that slightly sucks, but it is what it is. The unit did gain the grenades keyword and the marker-like keyword, as previously mentioned. So this is interesting. So the marker drone is no longer needed to give you the marker-like keyword. So you kind of actually don't need to leave the Shazray as the last model in the squad a lot of the time. He doesn't actually get any benefit for doing that, which it will occasionally come up. It'd be nice for like wound allocation if you need to pull a certain model out of coherency or something like that. It gives you a little bit more flexibility to do that. It's just if he has a fusion blaster and you want to keep it, that's the only reason you might not do that. The unit also getting grenades is quite useful. Didn't have that before. Apart from obviously being able to use the grenade stratagem, also opens you up to use the photon grenade stratagem in Calgon to give -2 to charge to people, which is actually very useful and a bit of an underrated use of that keyword. So that has a lot of potential to it. That's pretty interesting. And lastly, and probably most importantly, the Battlesuit support system has been removed. So that used to be an option for the Shazray, which gave him the ability to shoot after he's fallen back from combat, and which therefore observe on the turn he has fallen back from combat. You can no longer do that, so you can no longer observe. That's a pretty massive change, pretty huge nerf to this unit, to be honest. It's yeah, this is that basically that combined with a points increase is pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult to stomach, I'll be honest. So if we move on to talking about the what is the issue that this has caused, right? And why are people upset about it? So forward observers is an absolutely essential rule for how Tau play currently, because we're making use of a lot of units that don't have innate rerolls. So particularly rerolls to wound. So we're thinking that things like Riptides are the main beneficiary of this. But there are these breaches are another one that is a huge beneficiary of the forward observer rule to give you reroll ones to hit and wound on the target that they observe. The stealth suit is. And they're kind of a really key point, a key unit in how Tau operate right now, because Tau is kind of it's kind of I won't say relying on the Riptides, but I would say Riptides are one of our strongest units right now, if not our strongest units. So to take a hit to a unit that's directly buffing them and their playstyle of Triptide, that is a substantial change. The other problem that this causes is because it's such an important rule, you're probably still going to run 2 or 3 units of these. It's just that good. So you have to find the extra 60 to 90 points in most Tau lists, because most Tau lists were running 2 to 3 units of stealth suits in order to get in order to make back the points, right? And all of this is happening while the ability to fall back and shoot has been lost, right? So the utility of this unit is slightly worse. So it does its job worse, and it's more expensive for it. You get 3 extra wounds on the unit in the process. It's two models of 2 wounds, but you lose the shield drone, so it kind of works out to 3. But yeah, it's not ideal. That being said, I don't think this is world ending, right? I think you can probably afford to eat this, right? You can drop. There's things you can drop. You can work around this, and it's not gonna. I think a canny Tau general will be able to work around this, this issue, this nerf, without too much of an issue. However, if come December, the next day it's late, we see further nerfs, such as points to Riptides or anything else really, then that's going to be a real kick in the nards, to be honest, because this is already a noticeable points increase, right? That's 60 to 90 points is like a unit and a half for Tau, right? So losing that and then the unit becoming worse and then taking points increases on top of that would really, really suck. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Anything more than like 30-point hit to a Tau list, I think at this point, like if it's more than a 10-point on a Riptide, I would be a little bit salty. But looking forward, as we always do with the Tau, to the future, the things that we can work on change. So we've got 2 choices. We can do, as I mentioned before, we can keep calm and carry on. You can just look at cutting some points. You can drop some skirmishes, so like Crew out of your list, Vespid, Piranhas, those small units that were good for running around, doing mission stuff, scoring us points, that sort of stuff. That's the kind of thing you can look to cut, because they do kind of fit into that 60 to 90 point bracket, like 1.5 units of those, right? You drop 1 and then change 1 for something else, right? Or you can drop a damage dealer unit, so something like one of the crisis units, for example, right? Or if you're running Sky Rays or Hammerheads, you could drop 1 of them, right? And that will kind of bring you back to where you want to be, right? Into points wise, that is to say, under 2k points. So those are kind of the 2 options you can look on that front. You will feel the pain on that one, but that is probably the easiest thing to do. The next option is to improvise, adapt, and overcome, such as the Tau way. So you can pivot to other units, right? You can not look at not taking stealth suits anymore, and instead look at units which have innate hit and win rerolls, right? So Shadow Sun and Hot Aura gives reroll 1s to hit. Fire Knives innately reroll to hit. Sky Rays are twin linked; they reroll to wound, and they of course get innate rerolls to hit against fly, and they have their targeting array reroll. Same for the Hammerheads; they have a targeting array reroll. Missile Sides are twin linked. Units like this, so you can sort of combine them all together to get hit and wound rerolls in that sense. Breaches are another one; they can get rerolls, wounds rerolls with units on objectives. Put them, if you can get Shadow Sun near them, they can basically be exactly the same as they were. In terms of making it the difference in observer units, well, luckily we have a unit that became recently. So we had a unit that recently became available, the Fire Sight Marksman, that is super useful for us because not only is he a very solid observer, as he has the marker like keyword, but he also has access to lone op, right? So he is something that can stand in the open, not take hits in return. He's got a decent chunk of OC, the same as the 3-man stealth squads have. He has 3. He's a character, so he can hold enhancements, things like the redeploy from Kalyon, and the strike swiftly scout enhancement from Montcar is a good target to hold all of those. And there's a lot of utility you can get out of that unit, and he does have like a decent little sniper rifle. It's not gonna, you might kill something very small with it, right? It's irrelevant, but it counts, right? The damage adds up, right? So it's not nothing. But yeah, so that's another option you can use for guiding. But as I said, the pre-mentioned Sky Rays are another one that is super good for us to use in that sense. Because they also have the marker like keyword. Basically, we're just going to be looking around for anything that has the marker like keyword that we can use to justify taking anything other than stealth squads. Another one that's worth looking at this point is the enhancements in Kalyon and Montcar that give lethal hits and sustained hits respectively, which are through unity devastation and coordinated exploitation. So an ethereal, which we'll be taking before, plus a strike squad together, the cost of that unit with the enhancement is now not terribly more than the cost of a stealth suit squad, right? It's 50 plus 75 at my last count, so it's 165, which you would never take that when you had 2 units of stealth suits, right? Because you wanted the reroll ones to hit and wound from the stealth suits, and they were the same cost as 2 of those, right? For a unit that basically, didn't really have much of a use outside of that. But now, it might be worth a second look, because if you can have units that have innate twin linked, like we've spoken about before, our Sky Rays, Hammerheads, Missile Sides, that sort of thing, you can use Shadow Sun and then throw these things together. You might be able to come up with, that may actually be worth using that kind of guide, that kind of observer to get that buff with your ethereal and its squad. It might be worth paying those points for that now. So lots of directions we can look at. I'm kind of trying to look at this as an opportunity for change rather than just a doom and gloom direct nerf. Because it is a nerf. There's no point dressing up a pig, right, and telling us something. It's telling us that it's something and it's not. It is a nerf, but there's lots of opportunities that we have here to do something with it. So I'm going to explore that, see what we can do, and then hopefully by the time December comes around, I don't have to redo the whole thing again. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for your time, and I will see you in the next one.